Hey guys, it's Nathan from the Kentucky Cycling YouTube channel. Welcome to the first Zoom interview series in the Kentucky Cycling Connection series. I'm here with David Moore, aka Pedaling Dave from the Pedaling Dave YouTube channel. Dave and I have actually been in contact for a while and talked and followed each other's work. And we've talked about wanting to do a video together for a while, but I guess it took COVID-19 to finally make it happen.
Slow things down.
Well, Dave, welcome. And I want to start out just kind of by asking you some background questions.
Absolutely.
Great. So why don't we start by having you tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you got into cycling?
Not going into too much of my upbringing, we had a very, we're a very poor family for the most part. And so my life was, if I wanted to travel, if I wanted to play, somewhat of one particular strict parent, but the bike was always okay to go do. And so the bike, when I was very young, was my, it kind of become my everything. And so I didn't race BMX, but I had my little cheap BMX bike, and it meant everything to me. I had a number of them. Learned to work on bikes for the most part, starting with them, just figuring stuff out. I had that bike and a whole, live vicariously through BMX Plus magazine. Just nerded out on that stuff, read about it every month, couldn't wait to get a new magazine, and just ride. Had a little trail through my woods. So fast forward, got a little older, working in my life, having kids. I had gained a bunch of weight working in an office. I was about 40 pounds heavier than I should be.
I resemble that remark, by the way.
Yeah, man, but it's like, I thought, well, I want to get back into riding a bike, and I was up to that point. I had been smoking cigarettes for maybe close to 20 years, started very young, one bad part of my life. But so I got into riding mountain bikes again, bought a 03 Giant Iguana. So
what year was this?
This was 2003.
Okay.
So, full adult, had a child and working in a career, gained too much weight, smoked, just unhealthy. But I got to riding, and my first experience on a trail was like, it was cool. From 03 to maybe around 07. It was just, it didn't take long. I quit smoking, got cigarettes out of my life. And then at that point I was just riding. I got real into cross country, and got into a little bit of racing, just locally, somewhat competitive. I wasn't an expert or pro, but I was moving up. But then the problem I kind of run into in my own life was that I rode so much. I was training with purpose, riding with purpose every day at that time, mid-30s. I was in my mid-30s at that time. So racing and being faster, it meant everything to me. So, come home from work, get on the bike and ride as many miles as I could, ride a trail as much as I could. But it started kind of getting to the point where, like, okay, I've got a young child at this point. So I took about 10 years off the bike. I run for a while. I got into running just to kind of keep some level of fitness. And then at one point I had a truck. I kind of like project vehicles. I like to mess with my stuff, customize it a bit. And I had an off-road vehicle. I got sick of the gas mileage real quick. I had it for about a year. And then at that point I'm like, you know what? I'm ready for a new bike. I was a single speed guy at the time.
Okay.
Everybody says, how do you know if somebody rides a single speed? They'll tell you.
Oh yeah. I got a buddy who he's a very, very proud single. Yeah, they'll tell you that. I love that.
Absolutely. I was too. But a 26 rigid single speed, that was my go-to line. But that's what I had, and I got it out a few times and rode it. This thing's beat me to death. I'm older now. I'm 10 years older, and so I got a really good situation that came up where I sold the truck and I had some extra money and bought a full suspension bike, first one ever. Oh man, when I started finding out what that bike could do, what it enabled me to do, how, I was hooked, back hooked again.
And what bike was this?
This was a 2017 Trek Remedy.
Okay.
So it's like a 160 front, 150 rear travel. Yeah. So it has a long leg trail bike, and I figured out how good of a bike it was for jumping, and descending it's I don't know. It's probably the most important thing to me now. Like the climbs, I'll get there, working on the jumps and the descending and stuff like that. So it's pretty much where we are today.
In contrast to myself, whenever I go, I do some interviews around this state where I go out and do some, I call them trail gnome tours, and I meet up with the head trail gnome at a trail system, and they give me a tour, and I'm always quick to tell them that I'm a wheels on the ground kind of guy. You're at the other end of the spectrum. I watch your videos, and if people are looking for more of a rush, they should definitely check out the Pedaling Dave YouTube channel.
Thank you. Yeah. The thing, I think you said it when you set up the Facebook, the premiere that was coming up on this interview, was that, I encourage everybody to get out and live life big. Primarily, my thought process behind that is because, I'm 47, I'll be 48 this year, and I've progressed my riding over the last 2 or 3 years. You kind of got to be calculated about what you do, more so probably than ever before. But I like living. I really enjoy, I don't like, I don't think anybody personally should work in a job they hate forever, and they shouldn't stick themselves into a position or start thinking themselves too old too soon, because man, we live longer than we ever have, and we can be pretty strong people even up to a very old age. And if you've seen there's some 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old riders who are killing it. I mean, and more than I am. And so I aspire to that. I'm like, well, there might be a broken bone along the way, but bones generally heal. So I'm hoping to just continue progressing, and that's what I don't necessarily preach it on my channel, but I definitely want that to be an underlying theme that, hey man, I'm older too, and you can push your limits.
Well, how many bikes are in your bike stable currently?
Well, I have I have the 2019 Ibis Mojo HD5 Enduro bike. Then I have.
And you did some reviews on that. I bet your search. I know you've got some videos out there about that, right?
I did a first ride. Oh,
You did a test ride. Yeah.
And then the first ride was in Clarksville, Tennessee, and had a lot of jumping involved with it. And then I did an enduro race on it, and it's a fantastic bike. I mean, and I'll plug, if it's okay, N+1 Bikes in Louisville.
Yeah.
Sean Ibis, which is in St. Matthews. He works kind of within St. Matthews Cycling in that facility. If you want a bike, mention my name. I mean, he'll and Ibis has got some great deals going on anyway. But I kind of plug them because they took really good care of me, and it's a good bike shop, and it's a phenomenal bike. It's great. I've setting PRs on some descents, and it's pretty amazing. It's making me happy. Did you ask? But the bigger question was, how many bikes do I have?
Yes. So, yeah.
I have a 2014 Specialized Diverge, which is my road bike.
Okay.
I have the 2017 Trick Remedy 8, which is the aluminum full suspension bike. I still have a 2007 Giant STP, which is a dirt jump bike. And I've got it mostly put back together. It's been kind of, I used to use parts from it kind of back and forth between my old single speed, because I parted it out when I quit riding.
Yeah.
And then I have the frame of a Soma 415, which was the single speed specific steel frame.
So I lost count there. Is that like 4.5 bikes that you have?
2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. 4.5, almost 5.
When did you first realize that you'd like to get some air?
Oh, that was back even in the early 2000s. Even then, I had the dirt jump bike back then. I bought it, went to race in Cleveland, Ohio. Did a lot of urban riding. So, yeah, I kind of started getting into it then. But the big difference then is like it was, if it wasn't a tabletop, it probably wasn't going to happen. Not gap jumps, not stuff like that. And then once I've went to a friend's house, and one of my videos that's in there, it's a private trail, and he had some big stuff, and I hit one of them several times, and it wasn't necessarily a huge gap, but it was just so addicting. And so I'm still not, despite what people may think, I still run up on gaps, and it's like, oh, and there's a lot of them I skip still. But real jumping, I think probably started more like maybe 2 years ago. But I've always liked the air part of it, but it's gotten bigger now. I think with the full suspension bike rather than a hardtail, you realize how much safer, how much better, and how much more fun it can really be.
And you've got a jump of sorts set up in your yard, right?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that.
I just had some dirt delivered. I've been wanting to have something at the house to session. And so I built it and, just tried to learn. I tried to make a tabletop out of it. It was just not enough dirt. Carved it into a small gap and just started practicing on it, trying to figure out, how to build it correctly, how to get the face of the jump right. And then as it went, like, okay, I found some dirt at a neighbor's house just down the road. Got some great neighbors. They're not strict about none of this stuff. And so I can, throw dirt piles in the yard if I wish. And so I built it, rebuilt the lander a little bit. And right now it's maybe a 3 foot or so tall, just pile of dirt. I got the lip. And the lander is, so I'm about a 13-foot gap, and it's designed right now that you've got to hit it wide open. Then just last night, I was like, okay, I need something more. We have some water issues in the back of the property, so I had tried to do a two jump thing, which will work in the winter and in the middle of summer when it's real dry. But I have, like that drainage issue, it kind of keeps a lot of that wet and real messy. So rather than do that, last night I thought, you know what, I want the lander longer because I've redesigned it recently, and I'm kind of overshooting it just a little bit, almost not all the way, but just enough to make me nervous. And I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to dig down. So now I'm digging in my yard again, and I've got right past the lander. I'm starting to dig down into the earth. I'm going to bowl it, come out, and try to hip jump out of it. So,
wow.
I don't have a lot of space, but I'm trying to make the absolute best of what we have. And thankfully my wife is really great about it. My neighbors are great. So, I'm sore this morning from digging late into the night last night.
Some guys do CrossFit. You just dig and jump.
I destroy my lawn.
All right. Well, so I'm just curious to know. So you've done ridden a lot of different trails, and I guess primarily probably in your neck of the woods, and
South Central Kentucky.
South Central, yeah, and then down in Tennessee, right?
Right.
So, but I know you've also ventured out further than that. So I'd like to know, what is your favorite Kentucky trail and what's your favorite trail?
Where I'm at, everything's about an hour from me.
Okay.
So I have one trail that's within about 30 minutes, and it's fun. It's twisted Oliver, but I know a lot of people in Tennessee, and I tended to gravitate down that way a little bit more often. But my favorite trail that I've ridden in Kentucky is probably one of our local ones, is Briar Creek. It has a lot of rock, a lot of tech. It has a downhill flow trail, no huge jumps or anything. But it's fun. It's kind of has a little bit of everything for everything. There's a lot of trails in Kentucky, like around the Louisville area, Central Kentucky and Western Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, for that matter, that I've not even touched yet. And I need to. It's kind of one of my goals, but it's a lot of them are farther away than some of the places I go in Tennessee. So it makes it a little harder to go. Favorite trail altogether?
It's a tough question, I know. Well, you can name more than one. You can cheat.
I guess if you go by flavor, I think all around my without a doubt, right now, my absolute favorite trail is Baker Creek in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay.
It offers there's something for everyone there, and they've got like their urban wilderness is attached to it. So you've got, I don't know what it is now, 30, 40 miles of trail. Wow. And a lot of 3 downhill or maybe more, but the jump trails that are just fast and flowy and just uber smooth. But then if you change the flavor a little bit and you still got a kind of a descending taste to it, you've got Windrock, Bailey in North Carolina. Between those two, they're both downhill trail. They're both lift assisted trail. But Windrock is probably, I don't know, Windrock's special. For anybody that's ever done downhill, it's like it leaves something with you. It's really gnarly, really raw, and super steep. And my favorite thing to say about Windrock is I've never had more fun, nor have I never been more scared at times, because man, it'll eat you alive. But there's still something, but you don't have to bomb it to have fun there. And honestly, I feel like I've burned my brakes up because it's so steep. But yeah, if I was going to say between that two, if I had a choice between two trails, I could never ride anything else again. I'm going to Windrock and I'm going to Baker Creek.
Okay, cool. And have you done videos on all three of those trails that you mentioned?
I have, yes.
Okay, great.
Sure.
How are you holding up with COVID-19, and how's it changed your riding?
It's a good question. Obviously, I can't go to Tennessee. I got to go to Windrock just before the lockdown kind of started, or the Kentucky do not go to Tennessee kind of rule
Right.
come up. My family is healthy. I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody personally who's got the virus. Kind of glad I didn't know that. It's good to know that it's not. But we're holding up very well. How it's changed my riding is that I'm still getting to ride. You probably have too. All the rain that we've got this year has really put a damper on stuff well before COVID even started. So we were having a hard time getting to our trails, which, most of our trails here, rain, you can't ride in the mud. It just does too much damage. They don't handle rain that well, and they have to wait till they dry. So with the wet spring we've had, that was almost probably more influential than COVID has been. Because since it's dried out some, I'm still getting to go ride. The parks are still open locally. And so thankfully not that much. I would really like to, I've been really jonesing for Baker Creek and Knoxville. And it's been a while since I've been there, but that's okay. They've actually closed that park completely down, I think, because too many people were congregating. But yeah, we're healthy, happy. I'm still riding. I'd like to ride more.
Isn't that always the case?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, turning our attention to the Pedaling Dave YouTube channel. When did you first decide that you might like to start a YouTube channel?
I kind of wanted to dabble in video prior to this. I was going to do a car channel. It was really hard to even consider subject matter. And I'm no expert in cars. I dabble. And it was kind of a pain. So I did a few videos like that. And but I kind of changed gears, and this was kind of around the same time of the bike. So I was flip-flopping to hobbies. I kind of decided that bikes were far more my thing, that I wanted to be a part of and stuff like that. So I got rid of the channel. I created a new one, and that was I've been doing it a little over a year now. I think maybe it was right at December 31st, I think, of 2018, I believe it was. I had to have had a clue already kind of how to edit. I didn't have good equipment, but I kind of, had a general sense of how to do it and do it okay. Part of that, I wanted to do video because I'm watching all these guys and I'm seeing them grow, and I'm seeing them, of course, the big ones, Seth Bikes, Brian from BKXC and Alexander and from Single Track Sam, all the main guys, and then you start branching off to all the other ones, and you start seeing that people are doing this for their life, for their living, and doing what they love. And that's kind of how I gravitate in my mindset, is that I want to do something that I just really, really love. So the more I did it, the more I enjoy it. I really love doing the videos. I really love learning more in the process. Sometimes you're just not happy. You watch it and you're like, I could do better. And so I'm my own worst critic when it comes to my videos. Right now, color grading is my nemesis. I was like, I can do it a little bit, but then I watch it, and of course YouTube compresses it, and it doesn't look quite as good. And you're just, I'm just kind of like, oh, I think people are gonna hate it. People are gonna, getting that. But since I've been doing the videos, and I see that people can do it, and they can make a living, or at least part of their living from it. And that's one of my goals, one of my major goals for the channel. It's a lot of fun. So if you embrace embrace the challenge, embrace the struggle, and continue putting out content and try to make it better, try to make it a story. And I think that's telling a good story is not that easy on video. Sometimes, you go out with an idea, and if you're not structured enough, then you can be all over the place, and you can be 2 weeks into a video that you delete and start all over again just because it didn't come out at all. More than anything, if I don't make a dime from it, I like to make it useful.
So you must be, somewhat of a creative guy. And so have you had outlets in your life before this that have where that creativity is manifested? It's sure the first creative
endeavor as far as YouTube, yes. I played music for a while. And I've got completely out of that. The last year, I sold everything I've had, and just like I don't want to do it no more.
What did you play?
But yes, I play guitar. I can play drums, sing, and
there's a creative spirit in there, so I mean,
yeah.
yeah, that's cool. What are you hoping that your viewers get out of your channel?
My goal for the channel is that people grow despite anything, despite age, especially despite age. I really like to see, there's a generational gap between, like my son's age, which is early 20s, the millennial, if you will, and stuff like that. And a lot of people, they start thinking that they're old and done even in their 30s, but they reach their 40s and it's like, oh, I feel awful, and I feel like, well, you stopped, you've chosen to stop, not because you have to. And I just like to, if I could do anything else, I'd rather people be encouraged to continue to grow as long as they possibly can. Life is really, really good, a lot of fun, and to fold up, throw up your arms and give up is just like, no, man. No, you don't have to. It does not have to be that way. You may not feel the greatest that you've ever felt, but we can go bigger.
That's awesome. So what kind of videos did you first start out making?
I started out with, I think it was a gravel grinder at Mammoth Cave National Park. I just knew I was wanting to do riding. I kind of gravitated towards what everyone was doing at the time, especially like the BKXCs. All of them were doing, you throw a camera on, you ride and you talk. And so that's where I started with it. And that's still probably the most comfortable thing for me. Once I get talking, once I get into a rhythm, writing and talking or narrating is probably the easiest thing for me. The other side of that is third person. Third person footage takes a ton of work when you're by yourself.
I hear you. And how would you say that the channel has evolved over time?
It has evolved. I think my editing is improving, learning to really shorten up everything instead of putting so much out there trying to make, because what do they say? You got to kill your baby sometimes. You see something, you think, oh, that's cool. But, you got to keep people's attention. And so it's evolved in that matter that, you learn to simplify the video, but just keep it to the meat of the matter. And get rid of everything else that you can. So it's definitely, but I'm still learning.
But you actually have branched out, from just doing ride videos to doing some other things, some either some how-tos or some product reviews. Yeah. At what point did you start doing that?
Well, because you've got to create content, and I consider myself a fairly decent technical writer. I can even slow speed stuff, I can, and jibbing around. I really like to just jib around on a bike, have fun. And, but that leads to some better riding on the trails, I believe. The more you do it, the more you get better at it. And it's all about creating content. If you can't go ride and it's all wet or, and you're wanting to do a video, you're wanting to put something on YouTube, then you've got to get creative and you've got to try to branch out. And it's so funny because my biggest, most watched video is a SRAM dub bottom bracket and crankset installation. I watched that video again the other night and I'm like, I'm astounded. I get more views. It's continuously the most watched video month after month. And I'm like, I would have never thought that. Not once.
Well, I know I certainly use YouTube that way. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to do something. I go out and search for it. So I'm guessing there's a lot of people who want to know how to do that install, and you've got some good content. So there you go. Are there things that you want to do with your channel that you haven't got around to yet?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of traveling I want to do. There's a lot of places I want to ride and share with people. What I want to do is, I think, just be more beneficial in my videos, not just riding and bantering. Because sometimes I ride, if I'm in that kind of mood, I'm singing and being silly and and not really trying to be funny, but just trying to be who I am. And I would like to, I don't know. I think my biggest goal for the channel right now, currently, is to get good footage, third person. So when people don't just see trails, they see more of it. They see what, kind of what the obstacles might be like, or what's to offer, see other people riding with me, and just try to be more, I don't know, I guess make it more personal.
Good deal. What advice would you give to someone who was interested in starting a YouTube channel?
Oh man, Don't get hung up on the quality of your video necessarily. You know, you just need a camera and you just need to go start. If you want to start, you just got to do it, and by a little at a time. But I would say one of the most important things is good audio. I had a Hero 5 for a while, and it picked up so much noise from the gimbal and that I was using. Understand that there's a lot of work. I think if anybody's going to start, you need to realize that it is fun, but it can be a lot of work, and you can really burn yourself out real easily. I could see that happening if you overthink it too much. So enjoy the process. But grab a camera and go, and don't sweat, you know, trying to be better than everybody else. Just enjoy the ride.
Very good. Well, if it's all right with you, I'd like to actually bring up your YouTube channel and
Sure.
take a little tour, so we can actually get a sense of, you know, what the Pedaling Dave YouTube channel
Okay.
looks like.
Great.
All right. Can you see? Let me know when you can see.
Yeah,
Okay,
I see it.
very good. All right, very good. So I've just kind of centered on your playlist so you can kind of speak to different content. Looks like as of today's interview, you've got a little over 600 subscribers, and you've got so just kind of walk us through the different playlists that you've got here.
I just tried to make the playlist as simple and easy to find. Like, you know, East Tennessee, that's what it is. It's East Tennessee, my Baker Creek, and the places that I've went over in that direction. Product reviews is just exactly that. Just some place where people can, you know, if they want to look for a bunch of reviews or they're in that kind of mode, they can, you know, hopefully find some of the things that they're looking for there. Alabama Trails, a whopping one video.
Oh, I hear you. Yeah, that's
yeah.
Where would you go in Alabama?
That was Oak Mountain. That was at the Enduro. Yeah. Man, Oak Mountain's got some fun stuff. That's a really great trail system down there. And I like to see what else Alabama's got. I think there's a bunch in Georgia as well. But basically on my playlist, I'm trying to group the places that I go, and, you know, so they can kind of find it. If they're looking for North Carolina, if they're looking for something like that, it's kind of, you know, just easy to find. General riding is just, you know, just stuff that I can't seem to find a better fit for. You know, if I'm goofing around or if I'm trying to do a how-to or a suggestion type video, then I'll throw it in there. Local trails is that, all the locals to me. I'm like this with any kind of file structure, even like on my computer. I like everything to be kind of structured to where it makes sense, where you go there, okay, I want to go to Alabama, this. So other trails probably doesn't even need to exist. It's just got Florida in it, where I went to Santos. And new stuff, unboxing, you know, just new stuff, local trails, installs. And there's my number one video right there, the dub install.
Okay.
Yep, installs. And
oh yeah, sorry.
No, that's fine, man. Yeah, and that's,
oh wow, 10,000 views. That's great.
Yeah, it just continues to grow and continues to be my number one video, which is I still think it's funny. But
apparently, you need to do some more installs.
And I guess that kind of comes back around to, you know, it did very well, and I talked to my wife about it. I was like, you know, when you do a YouTube, and this is like a suggestion for people maybe starting or wanting to start, there's a certain level that, you know, you may want to be successful and you may want to catch stuff. And I see that certain things like that work very well. But if that's not the person you want to be, I don't want to be the install guy. I want to help you when I do an install, but I don't want to constantly, you know, I can't afford to buy parts that often to install for that matter. Right. So, but so, you know, you got to temper it with what you want to do. And at the same time, it's like, you know, well, I'm not riding anywhere new or something, you know, but I've got this new piece of equipment to install or to work on. So you can make that kind of content.
Well, while we're here, so you've talked about your most popular video. What video would you say that you're the most proud of?
Wow. That's actually a good question. I hadn't considered that. Most proud of?
Or maybe you feel like is the best quality or had some kind of, you know, good use for people. I don't know.
I think I'll do a fun factor type video. Like I did a video on Twisted Oliver, my most local trail, to me a while back, or it was one of my first videos.
The local trail series here.
Should be, yeah. And that's an old one right there. That's the first one. But I went to
Is it this guy?
getting
Twisted
that's right
Oliver?
there.
All right.
Yeah, that one with the music and the way that I edited, it was definitely the most fun video for me to watch of my
Yeah.
own, even if it's not the most popular. But I really enjoyed the way that one come out.
I'm gonna have to tag this to watch it later.
Yeah, I did some talking, but I did, riding some third person. I put a little bit more work into this one, and but the way the music flows with it, it went well. And I like the way that one looks personally.
Good deal.
If it's not, the second one is where I went to get the new bike. I don't even know what I called that.
Did that fall under your product reviews or no?
No, that's an old one there. I'm not even sure where I've got that video stuff now.
Well, here's New Bike Day, and which one is my favorite?
Yes, New Bike Day. That's one of my favorite. As far as editing goes, that's one of my favorite too, because the way,
nice haircut.
Yeah. Oh, I need one now. That's why I've got the hat on.
Me too. Well, very good. I'll have to check both of these out. Do you know about how many videos you've produced so far?
I should know this, really. I can have to cheat and look at my phone. I'm not even sure now. I have to do a little search on.
Let me see if I can beat you to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 56, it looks like.
56 videos, that's right.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, it's more than I realized I had done.
Yeah. Look at that. So if people are looking for you, I mean, obviously you're on YouTube.
Oh, youtube.com/ it's kind of odd, /C.
Is it? Oh, it's not Pedaling Dave?
It is, but it's like /C/ Pedaling Dave.
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
Yeah, that's the one. It should be it there.
Yeah. Okay. And then what about social media? I know you got a Facebook page, or are you just Pedaling Dave there?
Pedaling Dave on Facebook. I've got Pedaling Dave on Instagram, and Pedaling Dave on TikTok, which I haven't really got. Yeah, I haven't totally got into TikTok yet, because their video quality has to be a certain lower level. It takes a lot of time, but the generation coming up, TikTok is growing really, really fast.
For sure.
And
what kind of things are you putting out videos specifically made for TikTok on TikTok?
Not necessarily. I usually take something I've already done, edit it down to a different format, or lower quality format, and just post it up there.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it requires extra work, and sometimes I just don't have time. So that's why I haven't done it as much as I could. But I do try to stay. I use it mainly to stay current, to to understand what's popular right now.
Well, is there anything else that you would like to share with the Kentucky Cycling audience that I haven't asked you about already?
I hope that people enjoy. You might check out the channel now at this point who may not have heard of me, and I appreciate the subscriptions. I try to make fun content and try to make good content and useful. It's one of those things. It's enjoyable to do. It's a great sport. Whether they watch me on YouTube or not, I hope they're out enjoying it. I hope they're out doing their thing. That's
great, Dave. Thank you for being our first in this series of Zoom Kentucky Cycling Connections interviews. Yeah,
cut the ribbon.
That's right. So yeah, and I'm glad we were able to finally connect, and hopefully we'll be able to connect on some wheels someday.
Yeah, man, we need to do that. Yeah, thanks for having me. I do appreciate it. I hope this really works well for you, man.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks again to David Moore for being the first guest in our Zoom interview series. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And be sure to stay tuned for more Zoom interviews over the next several weeks.